Hello, I'm Rachel from Douentza Garden in Ireland, and you're very welcome to this May garden tour. Now it's the very beginning of May at the moment and it has turned wet again, so we did have a few days that were kind of nice, maybe about a week, lovely weather, and now it has turned just awful again. So it is record the video now or else wait till God knows when, until the weather cheers up. So I chose to record this video for you today, and we're going to start off in front of the fabulous, amazing, most wonderful rhododendron in the world, Lady Alice Fitzwilliam, which is now in glorious, fragrant bloom. This is my favourite rhododendron. I have two of them, and you know, I had to show her in her full glory. Okay, so let's get on with the video. If you are new here to my channel, you should know that I garden in what roughly equates to as hardiness zone 9. Now in Ireland we don't use this system, and I live in Southern Ireland, I guess about an hour and a half south of Dublin, and yeah, so hardiness zone 9 talks about what I can get through the winter. It doesn't talk about summer temperatures or anything like that, it's just hardiness. And we're starting this garden tour over here at the far end of the garden because you may recall that when I did the last garden tour, which was in April, I had to cut it short because the rain started. Who knows, the same thing might happen again today, and if it does, at least I'll have given you a good view of this end of the garden before that terrible downpour starts again. Hopefully we'll get down to where we were before. Anyway, as I did mention, I am here in front of my rhododendron Lady Alice Fitzwilliam, and this has been in the garden for over a decade, so it is really quite hardy for me in my part of the world, and it is my most favourite of all rhododendrons, so much so that I bought a second one, and I bought it to be my daughter's birth tree, because the tree that we had originally chosen for her as a birth tree died. These things happen, and I was very happy to have a second of these glorious rhododendrons in the garden. Now you may wonder why we're looking at this border here, because it does look a little bit scruffy, and the reason is that this border backs onto a native hedge which was put here by the farmer who has the field beyond, and the field beyond is just planted up with barley now. The disadvantage of planting up against a farmer's field is that the native hedgerow has a lot of things in it, like brambles chiefly, which are wonderful for the blackberries in September, but are terrible for the gardener because those spiky branches, they come in, and when they touch the ground they root and they keep on going. So you really have to be on top of it the whole time and cutting back a hedge here, which is difficult if you've got stuff planted at the front of the border. And as a result of having to constantly battle very difficult weeds and suckers, I gave this border a really good weeding, and this spring invested in some bark mulch to place on top, and hopefully that will just keep the weeds down a bit. So what have I got planted in here? And obviously there's the Lady Alice, which is doing a fantastic job over there, and I think the scent comes out even more on a wet day. It certainly wafts across, and it is one of the good things about working on this difficult border. So in terms of planting, next door to Lady Alice we have a camellia sinensis. Now Camellia sinensis is the camellia from which tea comes from, and this plant is generally thought to be not hardy in Ireland. However, I have gotten away with it. I grew it from seed and have gotten away with multiples in my garden over many years. I only have 2 left because basically I got bored with them and dug them up, and they would never flower. So I had a flowering on the other one this year, just a little smattering, and this one, well, you know, it's doing a job of work there at the back of the border, so I decided to keep it and just gave it a bit of a haircut. And truth be told, I guess this border is a bit of a mishmash because it was kind of plants I had left over that I had nowhere else to put them. They ended up in here. But this lily is a great one, and as you can see, it has little buds there. And this one is called Gay Light, and it reliably flowers for me during Pride Week. You'll see numerous clumps of calanthe here in the border, and I lifted and divided two of my calanthes, hardy ones, tricarinata and discolor, maybe 2 years ago, with the result that I have plenty. And in flower at the moment in this border is calanthe tricarinata, a dainty little thing. And over here is a peony I grew from seed. I am not sure if it's tree peony or a regular peony, but oh, I won't tell you how long ago that was. And then moving over to the left, we have Peonia dioica, which is one I bought bare root last autumn. You'll have seen me unboxing it and potting it up as part of that video, and it has done so well. Pretty leaves, and this actually flowered this year. I shouldn't have let it, but it did. It flowered, and it was a pretty pink flower. I guess not very remarkable, but a first flowering is never as good as subsequent ones, so I feel that this is going to do well. Certainly a nice healthy plant, and very happy of that bark mulch under it, I'm sure. And then over further to the left we have another seedling, peony seedling, that I have nursed for a very long time, and this one is looking very disturbingly like Peonia della Valle, which, if it is the yellow form, I really don't want another lutea in the garden, because it really makes quite a large tree, and this is definitely the wrong position for it. So if this turns out to be a vigorous tree, well, out it goes. And doing really well in this border is this podophyllum, which just seems to run and run, and you know what, it's the border for it. I'm going to let it. So moving away from the podophyllum, I suppose I should mention the tree, and this is a hawthorn tree, Crimson Cloud, which I have featured in a separate video, and it is absolutely magnificent when it's in flower. And behind, in the farmer's native hedge, we have the native hawthorn, which has a lovely white fading to pink tinged flowers, whereas these ones are crimson. The two together look absolutely fabulous. And you see down below, well, down below I have a lot of the native primrose. So these are ones that just sprung up in the garden, and I concentrated them here, although I do have a ornamental variety, a pink one over there to the left. Now the native ones are really vigorous, and when they finish flowering, what I'm going to do is cut the primrose back, which you can do with primroses anyway, it does them no harm, just to stop them seeding, because if I let it, then these primroses just add to the problem of weeds going into the border. And just a little bit further down we have my hardy orchid bed. Now this section here is full of cypripedium or slipper orchids, and one of the first things I did when I came back from holiday in Malaysia was to put a slow release fertilizer on these plants, because they really need that feed very early on in the year, February probably, and yet I left it till March. But hopefully I will have flowers this year. Let's hope for lots. And further up here is the area that you saw me working intensively on last autumn, when I put in a bare root hedge, 2 bare root hedges, and I did lots and lots of work. But the result is that there is a whole area over there that needs planting with some choice shrubs and trees, and I hope to make a separate video about that. But enough about that for the moment. Let's go and see a bit more of the garden further down this way. So welcome to the area that hasn't been weeded yet. It's been edged but not weeded, and I still have primroses looking really quite good. I've been dividing some of them, moving them around, which is always a good thing to do. And I do have a pretty magnificent rhodo here just coming into flower. I absolutely love this one because as you come around the path there, it kind of slaps you in the face with its colour when it's in full bloom. And yeah, it's getting going, it doesn't disappoint. And over here, my twin viburnums are in flower now. Oops, can you see that one? Yeah. And yeah, I absolutely love them when they're in flower. Beautiful shape to these bushes as well, really great. And I've been doing a good bit of work here on the hellebore bed, which is this one just here, basically removing all of the flowers once they've gone over. So hellebores, we might say, are great plants, and they absolutely are great plants, but they do seed about, and if you're unlucky they can seed within themselves so that the babies can pop up in the middle of the parent plant, and you've probably paid a lot of money for the parent plant because of its particular form or shape or colour, so you don't want it being overrun with babies that aren't true to the parent. So I cut off the all of the seed heads, a job that I really have to do because it can't be left to someone else. It's quite difficult to make sure you cut off the flowered spikes rather than the new shoots. And of course, because I didn't cut back my leaves on the hellebores this year, it meant that there were a lot of leaves that should have been cut back before that were kind of all brown and potentially diseased that had to come off as well. So it was quite a big job, but I'm pleased to have it done now. And over the other side of the hellebore border is the most gorgeous little plant you're ever likely to see. And this is Omphaloides, and this particular variety is an Irish cultivar called Starry Eyes. It's absolutely wonderful. Now, it doesn't come through from seed, so the same deal as with the hellebores. You need to be removing seedlings so that they don't overcome the parent plant. But at this stage, I'm happy to say I have a decent sized clump. Wait, before I go any further, I just have to show you the vision that is this fantastic rhododendron called Virginia Richards. Isn't she an absolute gem? And behind me we actually have a cherry blossom tree still in flower. Look at it, fantastic. And now a quick pan over the lower section of the garden. And now we're having a quick look at my birch trees. These are Jackmontii, and a wonderful variety that's grown for its white trunks. And you might think that those trunks are relatively good looking, but I have to draw a comparison because these are trunks that haven't been cleaned in several years. Yes, cleaned. And by cleaned, what you need to do is perhaps peel off some of the bark. Then you need to get a scrubbing cloth, a greenie we call them here, and scrub the whole thing with maybe some soapy water and then hose it down afterwards. And the result when you do that, which I did last Sunday, somewhat with the help of my grandson, and we did the trees on the other side, and wait till you see the difference. So this is the other side, and these are the trees that have been cleaned and have been scrubbed, and oh my goodness, what an absolute difference it makes to them. If I stand here like this, then you can see between, I'll be between the trees and you can see every one of them, and they just look so much brighter. A job that I suppose is best done in winter, because when there are no leaves in your garden and you have that very white ghostly trunk of the birch trees, it really looks quite stunning. I didn't get round to it in winter because it is a cold, horrible job. My joints are acting up today as a result of it, which is why I'm wearing the fingerless gloves just to keep them warm. But it is so worthwhile, and I'm so pleased with how those are doing. Now, in removing some of the bark, which my grandson absolutely adores, you may take off a little bit too much so that you take off the white bark and expose a layer underneath that's a little bit yellow. But don't worry about that, because within a short period of time that under skin is going to whiten up and look absolutely fantastic. And while that hasn't happened here yet, wow, just look at them. And it's so nice to see those leaves coming on the beech, on the birch, and to know that summer is on the way. Oh goodness, I nearly forgot to show you the tulips. So I've just stepped over here to the front of the house and we're looking at my tulip display. Now, you may notice that some of the pots are different from last time you saw them, and that's because I've rotated them. Some of the tulips had gone over, and those that had gone over have been moved away, and some of them have come into flower. And looking particularly good at the moment is this gorgeous lily-flowered pink tapered tulip called Ballade. I do have 3 pots of that. In here with the display is a pink shrub in the best Klaus Dalby manner. And I was asked about this one because this is rhododendron homebush, which I bought last year and haven't yet planted in the ground. And yeah, well, it has come out here to make part of this fantastic pink display in front of the house. So now we're on the final leg of the garden tour, and we're going in here to what I fondly refer to as the West Garden, and let's see what's new. Well, the Dormera peltata is in flower, and I do love those pretty pink blooms. And the seating area is up and running. Now, you may recall last autumn I did quite a bit of work here on this section of the garden, recutting the path, reshaping the borders, and there's still a big space over there that has yet to be planted. I'm thinking dahlias. But this seat was part of the deal, and it has now been put in place, and I'm very pleased with how it feels and how it looks and how it will commemorate my son. And that brings me to the end of this video. Sorry about the background noise. This is the section that will soon be planted up, and the rain is just coming down. This is just to let you know that Douentza Garden opens to groups by appointment. So if you have a gardening group and you want to visit, then do contact me. Otherwise, I will have a public open day near the end of May, and I'll print that date up here above. Otherwise, you should know that if you're a member of the channel, you'll get to see my videos a couple of days early because they are visible to members before they ever go public. So if that's something that's of interest to you, then do consider becoming a member. Okay, very, very noisy now. We're having our bathroom floor redone, and that's the tiler cutting tiles. So I guess I am going to wrap it up. It's just timely, isn't it? What with the rain and the noise. Thank you very much for watching and for supporting the channel, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.